All right, hello everyone. It's Mystic Juicer back with some more Yomi action, and this is myself versus CKR in IYL 5 pools. So this will be first to three wins, proceeds. It was played a while ago. I'm trying to catch up on my Yomi backlog, which has grown quite significant. And we're going to start things off with some Troc versus Zane. Figured there was a fairly good chance that CKR would open Zane against me, so went with the Troc. Troc's a good pick against an opponent you're not too sure who they're going to select. So yeah, figured that's pretty good. Opening with some really heavy blocking action. Just want to see if I can assemble some handy dandy face cards. I've already got my first king, so if I get knocked down, I'm not too worried about that. I've got a queen as well, so I've got both prongs of the wake up mix up. Picked up a 4 here. 4 is a yeah, tremble in fear in the face of our insane block action here in this opening part of the game. I don't know how CKR is going to play. The way that we have played previously, it has been. It got pretty nutty. I think the last time that we played, it was neither of us counterpicked. Well, neither of us switched out of the characters we started with. So it was all Rook versus Zane. I narrowly clutched out a 4-3 victory in that. So I'm hoping to do better than that, definitely. And things got pretty nutty in that set. There was a lot of like, okay, I am picking a risky option here because I've got a read on both players' parts. So I am just trying to play as conservatively as possible, both as a hedge against that activity in the past, but also just generally to feel out how CKR is going to play in the first game, and also to establish a kind of baseline of my own play, which can be very helpful to do. So I've got a massive grip of cards here. 13 card Troc is pretty damn good. Blocking with the 6 is probably a mistake. Well, actually, I've got queens I can power up. I'm not too worried about that. As soon as I get 2 attached blocks, I can absolutely get Beast Unleashed online. I'm just powering up some 3s because they're not doing a tremendous amount for me. Troc's 5 is just as good a throw as those 3s are. And the 5 also leads into a nice straight if I want to try to hit something. And that's definitely something I can go for. I haven't established yet that I am at all willing to throw him. I have only blocked and attacked. So CKR looking for an aggressive posture there instead gives me my second attached block. And now I have a decision to make. I can power up those 6s and 2 queens and immediately get Beast Unleashed online. Or actually, no, sorry, I just need to power up the 6s. I could have picked the queens instead. I don't think it's entirely unreasonable. I'm going to do a fair amount of dodging to try to get Beast Unleashed. Oh, okay, never mind. All right, we're just gonna try to throw his block on his wake up. Be as greedy as possible. I mean, I guess it's not a bad idea to be greedy this early in the game. I only pay with it with 10 points of damage. I still have plenty of tools in my hand, and I have a lot of hit points to still spend trying to block my way into a hand of some increased value. Like getting those aces back is probably pretty reasonable given the state of the game so far. Okay, immediately powers up for 2 aces, so we could see. So I have to start thinking with that many cards in hand and 2 aces powered up for. I do have to start considering the fact that there might be what's it called? Max Anarchy in his hand. I'm just going to try to discourage him from playing the aces, see if he'll hold on to those, say, oh, okay, well, I don't know if this is a joker or not, so maybe I'll just hold on to these, save these for later. If not, you know, I can, if the game goes a little bit longer, then I have Max Anarchy possibly if I don't have it already, that sort of thing. Just trying to make him consider whether he wants to go in here. And he does hold back the aces. So part of that block there was, yeah, I saw no sixes in the discard. I thought the six, the sneaky, the temptation to play a sneaky six would get the better of him. But instead he hits me twice in a row. You don't see it because my current picture is over my my player cam, but there was a bit of an eye roll at myself right there. Some definite disappointment in not just blocking the obvious block. He goes in for another huge round of damage. No knockdown, taking away the threat of the king from me. And it turns out this game might not last as long as I thought it would. turns out Zane with like a billion cards in hand can do a quite significant amount of damage. Okay, if I duff out a throw with a 7, I can do pretty... Well, actually, no. I thought I could combo into the queen, but that's... I go 7, 8 queen, but that's not the case. I would have to have the jack to be able to do that, so that's actually not as tempting anymore. Given that I am so low on health, I need to make a comeback, and that comeback is only going to come as a result of blocking my way back into Beast Unleashed. So I'm going to see if I can get that to happen. And if not, then establishing, further establishing a heavy block range will do me some favors in hopefully prompting some throws, and letting me counter throw or queen. Okay, block another 2, that is nice. I'm not going to be playing kings in neutral, and he knows that, so the 2 and the 3 are actually fairly safe as combo starters. The reason you're not going to see the king in neutral is that it is just so effective against melee attacks. I grant that at this stage of the game, it's not terribly important to conserve kings, because if I get knocked down and I don't have a joker backup, I'm probably dead anyway. But, it doesn't hurt to try to conserve that more valuable card. I should definitely throw away... Yeah, I don't know if I like that as an option. I'm going to need that to get that ace back, but I suppose I can get it back pretty handily with triple queen, triple 9. So that's not terrible, I suppose. Still, it would save me. I would only have to power up one of those triplets instead of, one of them and another pair if I hung on to the ace. So probably could have spared a dodge, could have thrown away a 10 there, or the 7. Neither of those are, paired up. Neither of them are super, super important. Now I can potentially hit this dream 7-8 jack. Okay, we're going to block some more dodges. Hopefully get him to be impatient, pick up some more kings. Again, we have every tool we could possibly want. The really key one is going to be getting another attached block. So I am contemplating, is this now the time where he feels secure enough to go in with a throw? Or does he feel so safe with 80 hit points that he really doesn't need to risk anything and can continue to play attack blodge? So I'm really hoping he gets impatient and tries to throw me. I mean, I have been blocking for forever. This is where I really worry about a 6 in neutral. Okay, luckily we catch a throw. We're going to get to deal some good damage here. Yeah, that is 24 for essentially for one card, essentially. So we're doing pretty good. Evening things up slightly. Question is, can we duff another throw? or do we need to block another attack? Okay, counter throw, pretty good too. Not sure I like tossing the throw there, or the block there. I suppose he is at 38 hit points, so I only need to hit with Eagle Totem twice, or a couple of king throws. So it's not terrible. Getting rid of the option of him to dodge might be good. So could have spent the 10 there. The 10 could be more valuable though. There we go. We get thrown. Nice call on his part, going in with the 10 throw and then immediately following up with another 10 throw. The tendency and the temptation is just to play super, super safe at that point. Try to be unpredictable. It's like, oh, okay, I just threw him. I'm going to try to protect that unsafe play with something safer. And I think no jokers that game, so we end up taking the loss. With a joker in hand, could definitely have made a comeback in that game. Now, he did have 2 aces throughout all of that, so it's entirely possible that I was kind of not keeping track or not adjusting my range for the fact that he might think that I think he had anarchy. So that might have been something for me to consider. That might weight him to throw a little bit more aggressively than he might otherwise. Yeah, I'm just rotating the ace that I powered up for to the Beast Unleashed position so that I don't accidentally give away free information. It's a bad habit that I have, not paying as much attention to kind of what cards are known information to my opponent and giving away free information when I don't want to. There is certainly something to be said for playing in such a way that you do give information or imply information, and then trying to take advantage of that fact. Okay, this game we've got 2 jokers, so we can actually afford to block a fair amount here. The advantage that, and the reason I say that is with the jokers there, it lets you play like much riskier, but it also lets you play much more confidently. So I can take this throw combat loss. He's going to cash out a bunch of cards, which is going to help establish my long-term game plan. Yeah, he's down to 6 cards on the next flop. I can safely kind of block with the 8 if I want to, and if he attacks with a normal and wants to cash out some damage, then I've got the joker as a safety. I don't really need the joker to gain any additional cards. I've got a 9-card hand. I'm a little surprised why I'm rotating that back. I guess my inner aesthetic was like, no. This is they're both red cards, both red suits. They should be rotated the right way around. But now I've lost track of which one was which. I think the Ace of Hearts is the one that I powered up for. Should be the rightmost ace. Silly me, not keeping track of that stuff. Okay, I'm just trying to get him to attack so that I can establish Beast Unleashed again. Okay, he doesn't want to give it to me, still blocking up. So he's definitely respecting my block range. Unfortunately, he's respecting it by blocking more instead of throwing more. But I will continue to play as patient as I can. See if we can get that other attached block. Not yet. But again, I don't feel too bad about him building a hand here because I do have the 2 jokers as backup. The 2 jokers are also fairly good against secret anarchy or like heavily implied anarchy. Like if he powers up for 1 ace, I can play queen if he thinks that, like if he wants to dodge into it to make it safe. That also allows me to play fairly safe if he's not going to play it raw and neutral. And because Max Anarchy is a 4A super, it can be quite hard to get back once it's in the discard. All right, nice. Land a 4. Just gonna turn this into some damage. Okay, never mind. Face down. We'll let him discard a card. And at this point, I don't know if I really want to power up the 2s. I suppose I could. Don't know if I want to power up the queens either, but at this point, 2 Beast Unleashed, he's at 12. So, not terrible. I mean, essentially the 2 queens is 18 damage, and I got an ace that completes a pair of aces that deals 20, so I'm alright with that. He is at 52 health, so I have a nice bit of a life lead here. Basically one Zane combo of health on him. So if he does want to go in, he is going to have to go lower on cards, which is always good. We get probably like our 3rd throw of the game so far. Still, any random hits now are going to significantly reduce his lifespan. What I'm probably not taking into consideration in his play is the fact that he's going to be blocking more heavily as a result of me having the known aces. So he might just be waiting for me to just throw the aces out there in neutral to try to cash out 20 damage. And unfortunately, that has cost him essentially 40 hit points as I get him with these throws. So he's at 16. I have, exactly 16 damage off of throw into Jack. We're going to see if we can make that happen. Got a huge life lead. If he does hit us with a normal, again, we've got the jokers, so we don't have to give it up. Yeah, that's pretty big. So expect a joker to come out here. Oh no, okay. We're just going to hang on to them. I think this is definitely a smoke him if you got him situation. There's no reason not to put a face down here. So we missed our chance to ace for lethal there. Take 30 as a result. Still life at 45 hit points. We're doing okay. And again, we have a very safe play on this turn. We can either ace, or if we really want to defer a decision further, we can block with the 2 and joker as backup. Wake Up Jay is an option, but it's not lethal, and I've got 4 aces that are burning a hole in my pocket, so why not, why not just put them out there? There we go. Trade with a 7. Take game number 2. So we are tied up 1-1. He has the advantage in the carousel. So I've got to win a disadvantaged matchup if he chooses to counterpick here, in order to be on the to have the momentum, I guess. Okay, switch to Geiger. Geiger, a solid counterpick to Trock. We ride in that carousel. Around and around we go. I actually don't mind. Again, Trock, in my opinion, doesn't really have bad matchups. At least not bad matchups in the sense that like other characters have, like, actually really bad matchups. Like BBB against Trock is probably Trock advantaged in my opinion. Trock Geiger is maybe like 5.5 for Geiger. Or it might actually be a hard counterpick to Trock, but you have to be a very, very, very good Geiger player, and Trock can still just get really lucky. One of Trock's incredible, one of his maybe most valuable advantages is simply the fact that all of his cards are so valuable and so effective. So he has like one of the lowest rate of dead cards that you could have in your hand. Like the only ones that come to mind are actually his dodges in the early game. Those are the only things you don't want to see. His aces are excellent in the early game. His king is, all of his face cards are excellent at all stages of the game. They are all, his jack and his queen are essentially uppercuts. They are DPs, basically. His king is a command grab. It deals very, very good damage and also helps him in the early game, as well as the jack at diffusing normal attacks. And the reason the normal attacks are so effective in the early game is they are a higher risk play with a higher reward because of the fact that they draw you a card if they hit a throw. But they are generally slower. That's the higher risk part. So the fact that he has 8 ranks of single cards that deal very good damage, his jack and his king, and you can just safely play in the early game to deal with normal attacks, is very, very good. Okay, so stage 1 of the game plan has completed here. We have 2 attached blocks, finally. We don't yet have the aces we need, but he doesn't exactly know that. He's probably going to assume that we don't have Beast Unleashed quite yet. If we hit with a 5, we could get that third ace, but he has been playing a pretty bewildering array and sequence of normal attacks. I think he's blocked once with the 9, or no, sorry, he played the 9. He played the 9 in order to throw us off the queen. So I'm going to continue to block here. So Trox blocks once he has 2 attached blocks. Hey, there's that third ace. That didn't take long. Once he has 2 attached blocks, he no longer builds as quickly. So the cards are actually going to disappear out of his hand. They can't attach and they just get discarded. So they draw you a card, but they basically just replace themselves. You build a hand slightly slower than anyone else. And yeah, who expects like no power-up Troc to have Beast Unleashed after like turn 5 or something like that? And that's just what can happen, right? Like Geiger does need to keep you out. If he doesn't, you just throw Geiger to death, and that's not how Geiger wants to live. So you can win either by just kind of like hitting Geiger with a bunch of throws that he's not ready to deal with. If he wants to, if he's got an awkward hand and he wants to block up into something, or if he's got an awkward hand and he wants to protect it by attacking a bunch, then you also get an opportunity to, attach a bunch of blocks. You can build your hand that way. Get blown up and clipped by the 7, but again, he's got 8 cards in hand and he doesn't even follow it up. So still dealing with a 40 hit point life lead here. We've got plenty of power-up fodder with the jacks. We've got plenty of blocks and throws if we wanted to go in with that. And he is still persisting with these normals. So he is still worried about getting lit up with something big. No follow-up on that. So he's still building a hand. Continues to give us an opportunity to play kind of higher risk stuff. So we can throw him because we know that he's essentially not going to follow up with anything. So the worst thing that happens, we kind of take a strategic combat loss where he gets benefit, like a deferred benefit of building a hand towards something that will eventually win. And we get a benefit of, okay, well, are you ready to, start letting me throw you? No? Oh, okay. Well, I didn't risk all that much. Typically, throws are the very scary thing that you're playing because they can lead on a combat loss. They lead to the most card efficient and usually highest possible damage if you're wrong. So yeah, so these are acceptable combat losses. We have he's on a 9-card hand. That's fine. We've got the threat of Eagle Totem. We're getting our throws in, and we've got throw into 8 here. So things are generally just looking very, very good for us. We've got up hawk for lethal here. We've got plenty of dodges. So I expect if he's going to play something big, he's going to play it now, since he is dead to both a dominant throw and queen. So instead, he goes for the huge throw death, and we can just test for lethal with a normal throw. Okay, he gets to draw a few more cards. We still have the threat of queen and normal throw. So he is definitely in be correct mode. The only time we worry here is if he, if he plays Temporal Distortion. And now we actually have to make a decision. So we have to think very, very strongly about whether we want to play either the throw or the dodge, or if we just play the queen and get hit with, Cycloid Revolution. Even if he's got 4 aces, and I am going to face down here just to at least make him think about it. But even if he had 4 aces, that would still leave us at 25 hit points. He would be at a 3-card hand. We use the 10 to put him... Sorry, he draws up to 4. We put him on a 3-card hand using War Stomp, and then we still have the threat of ace-ace. Okay, continuing to power up here. The thing I'm really worried about is, again, the fact that he has 2 other secret aces in hand and can throw into lethal at this point. Okay, yeah, that is a pretty tremendous amount of damage. Probably the safest thing. I don't know if I'd use the only dodge. Although I haven't spent... I don't think I'm going to check my discard, but I don't believe I've spent basically any dodges. So it is conceivable that I have it. He knows I have ace-ace. I do have backup king. Okay, hits us with ace-ace. I'm going to do another face down here. See if we can bait some more stuff. Okay, puts the 3rd ace on the table. We know he has 2 queens, I believe. So right now he has us in checkmate. But I think it is very, very likely that he plays one of those queens. Thank goodness for drawing the dodge. The fact that we played ace-ace there instead of the dodge last turn might indicate to him that we don't have one. Oh, and there we go. We find... Thank God we dodged the Joker. Gives us the preemptive GG, so we know it's over. Yeah, I think that was actually the second Joker. But yeah, oh man, that it's pretty terrifying. Definitely rescued by the top deck dodge on that one. Otherwise, it would have been a really rough call. It's like, how do you want to die? Do you want to die throwing into queen? Or do you want to die blocking queen? Okay, I was hoping that he had learned his lesson of pushing the attack button a bunch in the early game, but it seems not. Well, we do draw into our 3rd ace on turn 2, so that's pretty good. Okay, get rid of this attack, or this throw. And I don't know if fast side of Jack is actually the correct play there. The slow side of Jack trades or beats Queen. I can't remember exactly which. I think it's 3.4 and the Geiger's Queen is 3.6 maybe. But in the early game, I think just trying to punish normals for that extra 3 damage, and if you get hit by Jack, it's probably fine. Yeah, okay. Okay, yeah, 3.4. Okay. So yeah, it does in fact trade. This is actually it's not a great combat loss, but it's not a terrible combat loss. At least he didn't hit us with a big normal. Big normal would have built his hand, allowed him to combo into Queen and Jack for the same effect on his hand size. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like he's being really, really aggressive early right here. Playing the aces is a bit of a calculated risk. If it walks into a block, it's really, really bad. It gives him hand advantage, like further hand advantage. and deprives us of Silent Beast Unleashed. It's probably honestly a mistake to have spent them that early for the damage, because we still need Beast Unleashed to close things out. And throws with Suplex of Science, one of his Temporal Distortions. So that's a very interesting play there. So doesn't have any other throws, which would also indicate that he's fairly low on blocks, which is why I'm going with the odd block here. He's attacked with 2/2s, so those are his only even attacks except for 6s. I think it's far more likely that if he has normals, he wants to go 5, 6, 7. Okay, I'm wrong. He hits me with the 6. And nicely calculated on his part, but he might not have anything to follow this up with. Okay, has a king, but has to spend another king. We're fairly even in life totals, and he is much lower on hand size, on effective hand size, I should say. He's still even with me, but it's unfortunate that he hit me with that 6 last turn because I only have the even block now. But this is also still fine. Again, getting rid of a lot of time spirals, doing a lot of damage, but he is, and he spends another Suplex of Science or Temporal Distortion there, trying to close things out as quickly as possible here. And he has a 4-card Geiger, so we have the possibility of being able to make a comeback. Again, no odd blocks, which is unfortunate. So we're going to keep blocking even. Hopefully he doesn't throw me at this point. He's used up, I think, 3 kings by now. Yeah, it's a pretty nutty hand. Well, sometimes you draw real good. Like I hit him with like turn 4 Beast Unleashed last game, so it's not unreasonable. It's variance. Variance affects us both. Just going to try to block my way into something here. No, another time spiral. Very unfortunate. I might consider bluffing here with a face down, but I think I just want to try to conserve as much as my hand as possible. Every time he does that, he does have to go lower on cards. And we're not even going block at this point. He is being purely aggro. So I'm hoping I don't die to throws, but it could happen. Okay, there we go. He gets an opportunity to a reprieve, as it were. Still no attached blocks for me at all, and it's like, yeah, it's pretty late in the game. It's not a good scene. Okay, so he lets us in with a throw, evening things up a little bit. Those 5s I am eyeing for power up. And use the 10 to keep him on a lower hand, because I still have that 1 dodge. I'm going to try to milk that dodge for as long as possible. Again, playing the block just to try to assemble Beast Unleashed. Beast Unleashed would really, really help. He happens to pick the side, the block that would have checkmated any attack, or beaten every attack I had in my hand. Okay, we get another War Stomp. Again, that still leaves us with a dodge in hand, so could elect to spend that, but don't. I think that's like the 4th king. It's like finally the kings are gone, I think. We got our first attached block. Yeah, those are all 4. 3 queens and a jack gone. No aces though. No aces yet. Gets a jack for Temporal Distortion. So a successful throw or attack victory here will be lethal. Throw definitely, because throw into Temporal Distortion, jack, is almost 20 damage. That's what, he has 8 damage throws, it's 9 damage, yeah, 17. Yeah, it's exactly lethal. So the worst thing that happens here is if he gold bursts. Okay, luckily he just spends the jack, which is fine by me. Put him 28. We can immediately power up 3 threes. Put another 20 damage in our hand. Still have the Joker. Now he no longer has temporal distortion. So I'm going to elect to hold on to the 10 just in case he puts another temporal distortion up. Although he has spent 3 of them now. 2 fairly early on in the game as time spiral follow-ups. Getting that additional damage out of them. Not sure if worth. But it looked like his hand was pretty freaking crazy. Okay, nice. We undercut another jack. Probably it would have been better just to ace-ace there. I mean, obviously, on a combat win, I would have preferred to win with the aces. Now it is definitely a better idea to lead with the aces rather than the fast side of jack. Because if I do hit, that means I put him at 1. He doesn't know I have an opportunity to chip, so it's a little bit more secretive. I mean, he can fairly assume I haven't played any queens. Yeah, I don't like this. Yeah, I'm not too big a fan of this play. I would much rather have played the aces. Yeah. I suppose I do have two-way lethal, or actually 3-way lethal. I can dodge into ace-ace, I can hit him with ace-ace, or I can throw into 6. Oh man, I forgot about that. So he actually catches me with ace-ace. I thought I was completely safe throwing there, or throwing the double aces of my own there. So finally, yeah, okay. So I'm not too mad at that. He could have been holding on to an ace for a very, very long time. And that ties things up. So go back to character select. Could potentially have stuck with Troc, but that was fairly... The first one was definitely a dominating game. Second game was much, much, much closer. But I feel more confident about playing Onimaru in this matchup. So I thought, okay, yeah, let's go to the standard Geiger counter pick, for me at least, out of my stable of characters. This is the one that I have the most success with, the one I feel the most comfortable with. Again, I'm going to rotate those cards to only block with the known card from now on. And yeah, so the logic here is that generally Geiger is playing kind of a standard attack block early game. And Onimaru does very good against attack block characters. His dodges are very strong, and obviously, you know, his guard crush is very, very dominating in the early game. It is something that your opponent always has to respond to, with very, very rare exception. So see, like no other character, like in no other matchup, essentially, would you be dodging this early against a character. You generally don't have a hand that would support that kind of damage. Okay, diffuses a 10 there. But we only take 8 for that, so that is fine. Gets rid of a time spiral in the early game. 2.4 is kind of a difficult speed to deal with. I suppose it's no more difficult than any speed, honestly. Okay, run into another jack. So definitely losing more valuable resources than he is, because he can get those jacks back. So spending them in the early game just to kind of protect himself from any damage of real significance. It's perfectly fine. So I'm hoping after the two tens are gone, he now feels a little bit more secure about pushing the down back button. So see if we can go in with a 7. Unfortunately, he takes that opportunity to hit us with a queen. Going to go ahead and spend a joker there because that is one of the things that can get us into real trouble. I'm already on a 10-card hand, so I'm fairly stable in terms of hand size. Could have the opportunity to dodge into some jacks if I need to or want to. Now he starts blocking, so now I'm actually in trouble. So I have officially lost the early game. We are definitely entering mid-game stage. We haven't had any power-ups. I'm unlikely to power up, but Geiger is, that's kind of the signal that he is entering the late mid-game. He starts powering up for aces, start worrying about temporal distortion. I'm spending queens here instead of, say, the jacks because I don't yet have final authority as backup. The kings are more valuable to kind of hang on to see if I can achieve something with them. If I can get 4 of them in hand, that is a pretty significant amount of damage. The queens aren't all that valuable in the late game when you do have final authority, and essentially all of your other slower face cards are now much, much faster. Yeah, much, much faster, like dominating attack speeds in every possible matchup except the Onimaru Mirror. So again, just playing very aggressive, actually. A lot of attacks coming out here. So I'm hoping I don't pay for this with like 40 hit points worth of damage. Okay, we'll take 20. 20 is okay. Not ideal, definitely. I'm down 40 hit points here. And immediate power up with 3 10s. Going back up to a hand size of 10 on the draw. So not great. Very, very not great. I feel like a throw is coming. Just because that's the thing I'm absolutely most scared of. I do have to keep in mind, though, that he is probably going to be worrying about final authority. So actually, I think on this turn, considering he just powered up for aces and hit me with aces last turn, that he would go for a dodge or a block play. Okay, yeah, went for the block play. So that's the, do you have final authority and do you think I'm going to play aces immediately? So I know he has aces, so my 2 choices are respect aces or get duff a throw or something like time spiral. Like Geiger can always go for a time spiral play because it's fairly safe. If he catches me blocking his aces, then he gets some free damage. He hasn't yet put temporal distortion up, so I am still relatively safe. He probably cannot kill from this distance. Finally get our first real damage of the game in and immediately throw away my only block. So we are absolutely dead to temporal distortion. Drawing the joker is actually very important here, especially considering he doesn't have temporal distortion to put up. So we get the singleton ace here. That's going to prime a lot of our hand. We've got a monster amount of damage that we can do now. So long as he attacks with the right thing. Or throws into our attack here. Okay, picks up a jack. So 2 known aces in hand. 1 known jack for sure. Lots and lots of damage. That is 31 damage already. So again, I haven't given up the fact that I have or don't have temporal distortion. I was playing pretty aggressively with queens early on, so that might indicate something. Especially at high hand, it's not completely unreasonable to spend a temporal distortion early game with a queen if it maybe runs into a king of his. So managed to catch a dodge temporal distortion there. And here we've got to make some weird decisions. I do want to pump it at least once. It takes a lot of damage out of my hand, but it's not like the jacks are any faster or slower than the kings, really. And I'd rather hold on to the kings for the bigger burst damage than I would the jacks. It does weaken my jack play considerably, because jacks are only really effective as pairs. Otherwise, they're just kind of a bad 10 or a bad normal. Yeah, they're essentially a 3, right? If you don't have the second jack as pump. Okay, so we get the absolute dream. I played the king of spades there because I did not have the king of diamonds, which I would have preferred to play. So the plan was if I needed to final authority that, I would have had to spend the other jack, which is already kind of a dead card in hand, so that's fine. Now we draw into the jack. So now the shoe's on the other foot. I'm going to play this other jack here and use the king of spades if I need to. So luckily he throws again, possibly expecting me to block up now that the threat of temporal distortion is gone. So we cash in some more damage. Got a very, very low hand size, but luckily we draw into exactly the right suit to activate our kings, and king will be lethal if it hits. And the only other option is either 9 throw or 10 throw. He's been pretty aggressive with throws, so I'm not really tempted to do that. I've already played a ton of face cards, so he might not believe that I have any more. So I'm just basically playing the safest possible thing I have. If I run into a block, it's going to be a nightmare for me. But luckily he goes for the 3rd throw in a row, which unfortunately just happened to meet up with the fact that I did not want to play. Like, I had no other really good plays. If I had had the 7, it wouldn't have been lethal. So there was just a lot kind of pushing me in one direction, and it happened to line up very, very nicely with how he was playing. So nicely played, CKR. I kind of clutched that out by the skin of my teeth. More luck than skill, definitely on this one. But yeah, we definitely take those. So hopefully you enjoyed that, and I will bring you some more Yomi action as soon as I can. Until next time, enjoy yourself some Yomi. Don't go down 40 health before you start making comebacks. That would be my general advice. All right, cheers.